Hello everyone, if you're new here, I'm Alan with Earthglow, and in today's video, I'm going to be revealing to you my top 3 best-selling gourmand or bakery scents of 2024. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm a little bit obsessed with fragrances and proud, but anyways, these videos are my absolute favorite to film, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free, and click the little bell and I will notify you each time I post a new video so that you don't miss out on anything. Now stay tuned until the end of this video because I'm going to be mentioning a couple of honorable mentions that, in my opinion, will probably make my top 3 for 2026, as in the candles that I sold the most of in 2025, hopefully, bakery scents. But they just simply haven't yet because I haven't officially released them into my line. So anyways, coming in at number 3, we have Toasted Pumpkin Spice by Candle Science. Now, I think you can get this fragrance from some other places. If any of you guys know, please put them on the screen. They also have a new fragrance that I'm gonna put the name up on the screen. I think it's called Pumpkin Spice Buttercream, but I will double check and correct that if it's wrong. But this fragrance is almost identical to that one. So if you already have that one or you have this one, then I wouldn't consider the other one. But I have sold this in my Maker's Favorites collection, actually. And this is gotta be my single most favorite, well, I guess I would have said that up until a couple weeks ago, but it is really a different fragrance than the ones I'm gonna mention at the end of the video that are some of my favorites. This is more of like a pumpkin cinnamon roll type of a scent. And that is exactly how I sell this one in our Maker's Favorites collection, which is a year-round collection. I sell this one as cinnamon pumpkin donut, because this literally reminds me of the donuts. Oh my God, and I just splashed the oil all over myself. You didn't see it, but the cap came off, and yeah. But this literally reminds me of the donuts that I used to get at Jolly Orchards with my sister when we would go there as a family, and it was like a whole thing that we would do in the fall, but we would even start this like into the late summer and almost into like the winter. We were just really, really diehard fans of, my mom would have us picking pretty much anything, like whatever was in season. And if you're new, I'm from the Midwest, so we would start this off with strawberries, and then it would go into blueberries, cherries, peaches, and then obviously apples, pumpkins, all that type of stuff, cranberries in the fall. But yeah, this fragrance, it just captures the essence, I would say, not only of the fall, but also just of a beautiful like cinnamon spice. If you do like a coffee shop type of a line, you could market it that way as like a cinnamon spice. It almost even has a little tiny bit of chai in there. And again, it could also go as like a donut type of a fragrance. You could blend it with something apple and have it be a cinnamon pumpkin apple cider donut if you blended it with like an apple. Coming in number 2, we have Pumpkin Souffle by Candle Science. Now, this is not an oil that I really like personally, but it's such a good seller for me. This is what I sell as our pumpkin bread candle, and I sell this in our limited edition collection in the fall, and it's in a concrete vessel. I've sold it for, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row. And I actually used to sell this one. This is an interesting fact. So I actually used to sell this candle before as Pumpkin Souffle, and I'll try to put a picture up if I have a photo, but this was like 3 or 4 years ago, and it did not do very well. So this also goes to show that you can have a fragrance that's very popular, but if you don't brand it the right way and put the right picture, the right colors, whatever your branding is, customers will not be nearly as attracted to it. So once I changed it to pumpkin bread, which again may not work for your brand, but for my personal audience it really did, and then made the orange and white vessels, all of a sudden this candle did become really popular and become like where I'd make like 30 of them in the fall and just sell out like in a week. I mean, sometimes even within a couple days of these is what it got to. So this one has to be for my number 2. Now, I did kind of want this to be more of a year-round thing, but I just have to bring this one in just because it's such a big seller for me. And yeah, another thing I want to mention too, and I just thought of this now, and I didn't even put this in my honorable mentions, but I have a blend called Farmhouse Apple, which is available in my Patreon. It's a blend of Candle Science Macintosh apple with, I believe, Apple Harvest by Candle Science. The blend, again, is in my Patreon. Likewise with any other blends that I share on this channel. I'll tell you what the oils are, but if you want the exact blend that I came up with, you'll have to check out my Patreon, which is linked down below, and you also get a bunch of other perks. Anyways, quick plug there for that. But this particular fragrance, Definitely my number 2 pumpkin, but then farmhouse apple. I didn't put in this video just because I don't really consider it a gourmand, but an apple fragrance, particularly in the fall, is almost a must-have, I would say, in any collection. So yeah, all right. And then coming in at number 1, we have Candle Science Banana Nut Bread. Now, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of this video. I keep forgetting to do this, but fragrances that I'm recommending, I do get a lot from Candle Science, but there's a lot of other companies that have these same exact oils. So if you tend to shop with other companies, you can get a lot of these from them as well. And if anybody's watching this and knows like an equivalent, for example, to any of the oils I'm mentioning, please put it in the comments, or something that's very similar. I'm actually wondering if the Black Tie Barn Banana Bundt Cake is going to be very similar to this. I hope to be getting that oil in next week. And that's another thing I want to mention. I know I've talked a lot about his oils recently on the channel, but they're not really going to make it into these videos because this again has to do with my sales in 2024, and I wouldn't have had any of his oils then. But likewise with some of the seasonal scents, or some of the scents that are in my more luxury collections, or some of the scents that, like with his, that I've tried out, tested out, but just haven't officially sold yet, and won't until June even start, they will still make it into like honorable mentions, that type of a thing. So this one in particular, though, I do blend with another oil that I would say it's very, very a good idea to blend this, because this Candle Science Banana Nut Bread on its own is more of a, it smells almost like banana Laffy Taffy, or not quite that artificial in a candle, but it has a very prominent banana pudding type of a note, but not much of the bread note. And so I blend this with a fragrance called Sugar Cookie by Candles and Supplies, and that is one of the best kind of bread note fragrances that I've found for like a cookie type of a bread. Not overly sweet, but it's gonna bring in that kind of base that you want with that vanilla and that dough to this type of a fragrance, so that you're getting the full experience of banana bread. Now, I sell this in our signature collection as my banana bread and walnut. I was gonna say banana nut bread. That's the name of this. But I've also just sold it as banana bread for a number of years. I just added the and walnut to the end because I like the sound of it. And this also does have a nutty character. So I'll oftentimes do that with names. That's kind of a whole nother topic. Let me know if you guys want a video on how I kind of name things. But as long as the name, it kind of plays into what the notes are, I don't see anything wrong with that. Even if the exact nutty note isn't quite a walnut, right? Because some of this is subjective too. But that is how I've sold this one. It's very popular. It has to be one of my best sellers in the signature collection, which I'm also renaming, by the way. This is gonna be a topic for another video, but I'm actually gonna be renaming it to the Serotonin Collection, just because signature collection is a name that so many people use, and I really don't want, I want to be original with everything as much as I possibly can. And for me, serotonin is like my logo for my brand. I actually even drew a version of it with some leaves, excuse me, on the line dot structure, or on the bond line structure. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I drew a version with some leaves on the bond line structure. Get it together, Alan. And that's kind of my unique spin on the serotonin, but it preserves the chemical integrity of that particular structure. So, it preserves the carbon backbone, I guess I should say, but it preserves the whole chemical integrity of it. Anyways, I'm getting way off here. All right, now on to the honorable mentions. There are 2 of them, and as I said at the beginning of this video, these I do expect to be maybe not my top 3, because I really can't say, but if I had to guess, like if I was the one purchasing, these would be ones that I'm more obsessed with than anything I have at this point. And actually, let's go with the second one first. They're very different. So this is the Pistachio Baklava by Black Tie Barn. Now, this is a very heavy gourmand, like all the other oils that I mentioned. It's extremely prominent out of the bottle. It gives me chills actually smelling it. I think I put in my review of this oil from the Michelin Guide, not the mall. So if you want a gourmand that doesn't scream mall vendor, meet the Pistachio Baklava. Now, I wouldn't say my other ones do either, but this one I would say is more elevated smelling than any of the other ones that I mentioned, but it's also more niche, so you may have less people like this for that reason too. But for me personally, this is a beautiful, nutty, so you really get that pistachio to it. It's not overly sweet, but it's very rich, and it's very full-bodied. This is something that you get at the Ritz-Carlton, and you want to make sure you have a room booked after you after you enjoy that baklava. But Yeah, this one has to be a fragrance that really surprised me more than most of the black tie barn oils that I have smelled, just because I really didn't expect to like it as much as it really has grown on me. Even out of the bottle, I liked it, but putting it into wax and just seeing how it just fills a room with the most beautiful character that is true to the out of the bottle, but even develops further, made me really fall in love with this one. All right, and then the second honorable mention, arguably my favorite pumpkin fragrance of all time. Not arguably, it is. It has passed up my Toasted Pumpkin Spice by Candle Science, but I still really like that oil. But this is the Twisted Pumpkin by Black Tie Barn. Now, this is a pumpkin and black licorice, I would say. Well, I wouldn't say. That is kind of the main two notes in the fragrance. But if you really don't like black licorice, I would probably stay away from this because it's very prominent. A lot of people maybe even pick that up more than the pumpkin. I kind of get maybe a 60 black licorice, 40 pumpkin, but there's a lot of other complex notes to this one that I really pick up on as well when I smell it. It does have some spice to it. It's not overly cinnamon heavy. It has sort of this enchanting character, almost hauntingly fun and whimsical character that really reminds me of a day at Jolly Orchards with my family in the fall. So much so that I just want to bring it into my year-round collection. Like, I want to see this in the Serotonin collection, formerly the Signature Collection that I'm renaming to the Serotonin Collection. The Signature Collection is even a new release for me as of this year that took a bunch of scents that did really well for me over the last like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and then I put into a collection of like customer favorites that are also inspired by my hometown. But this fragrance in particular, I would say, is both of those things, but also it's just so unique. I mean, I can't say I smelled anything. The most black licorice type of scents I've smelled, there's one by Makesy that comes to mind, and I'll put the name up on the screen. I can't remember it offhand. And then there's also one by the Flaming Candle, and I'll put the name up of that one on the screen as well. But this one just does circles around them. I mean, I feel like this is a very unique oil, and it's such an exuberant, joyous, happy, whimsical, hauntingly enchanted, and fun, playful, spunky oil. I just can't get enough of it. So I'm hoping to sell this one as the Haunted Orchard in my year-round collection, the Serotonin collection, and we'll see how customers like it year-round. If it doesn't do as well as I would like, then I may keep it as a fall thing, but that is the Twisted Pumpkin. Now, the last honorable mention that I want to do, and I don't have my little bottle, I only have a 2-ounce bottle of this one right now. It is for the Sassy Pumpkin by Black Tie Barn. I think he has like 3 or 4 pumpkin ones, but I like the Sassy Pumpkin and the Twisted Pumpkin more than the Pumpkin Affair. The Pumpkin Affair has more kind of spice notes to it that are, it's still a great pumpkin, but these two are my particular favorites. Well, the Twisted Pumpkin is, but then this is like my runner-up. And this one, the Sassy Pumpkin, is more like what I would describe as a pumpkin bread, pumpkin dough, and spiced pumpkin, kind of pumpkin bake, even like you could go so far as calling it like a maple chai and pumpkin, or a pumpkin caramel latte, pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice bread, all these different things, pumpkin muffin. It's just everything that you wanted from a pumpkin in one fragrance oil, I would say. It's definitely got a lot of spice to it. It's got a lot of heavier bakery notes. It's almost like a honeyed pumpkin. It has a little bit in common with Makesy's Maple Chai and Sweet Cream, which is one of my personal favorite fall scents as well. But you're getting it at a much more affordable price point, I would say. And also, it does have more specifically pumpkin notes to it. So I may or may not change my pumpkin souffle to the Sassy Pumpkin either this year or next year. But we'll have to see. Because I know my customers really do like that Candle Science oil, and even if it's not my personal favorite, I may have to keep it for them just because it does so well for me. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you were able to with some of your personal favorite gourmand scents. I'm always interested in knowing what does well for you if you're open to sharing. And yeah, guys, I'm sending all of you peace, love, and light, and I'm wishing all of you happy candle making. We believe fragrance connects stories, twists and turns, and trailblazers with the wild and sacred. Like members in an orchestra, it's like we play our own part, which is united into one song with the story of each other part. Profoundly personal, yet deeply universal, we breathe to the scent of love, harmony, and aliveness, allowing it to rattle our bones and enchant our senses until we return to the dirt and ascend to the sky. I'd like to take the time to thank my patrons for their incredible support.
Trusting your instincts, realize that knowing looks different to each. When living authentic, do more exploring, deeper than knowing just what is essential for life that is thriving. Go deep, mute out the chatter, feel it, burn off the fire, let go until there's peace to your core. Live a life you adore. Silence the noise away from the program, removing performance, true self, all that's standing. Live free from worry, live by just being, power and finding your wholeness in now. Go deep, mute out the chatter, feel it, burn off the fire, let go until there's peace to your core. Live a life you adore. Live a life you adore.
Keep being yourself. Stay authentic at all costs. And never lose your spark. Because that's what makes your brand uniquely you. I see you. I'm rooting for you. And I know you have what it takes to be successful and to have fun with this craft. Until next time, happy candle making.